Overall, I am pretty surprised to say that it's just nothing amazing or crazy, so don't expect the most impact protection out of these. That a lot of people may like these over the 39 simply due to more stability in the shoe. The length is definitely true to size. If you want a one-to-one fit for a snug-like fit, then you can go down half a size if you really want to, but for most people, I recommend going true to size. This portion on the lateral side of the shoe does dig into my wide feet just a little bit. I think this is only a problem for wide and I guess flat footers as well, like myself. It is noticeable, but after you break these shoes in, they do feel fine, so it's not something that would impair me or just make me go up half a size, because at that point it would feel too long. If you put your hands or fingers inside the shoe and kind of feel the lateral sidewall, you will be able to feel what I'm talking about. So if you are a wide footer, I do recommend trying to break these in as much as possible, but I'm not going up half a size because at that point it would definitely feel way too long. In terms of lockdown, I feel like I did have to tie the laces pretty tight. They also have really long laces, which aesthetically I'm not too big of a fan of, but in terms of lockdown, it does feel pretty good. You just have to tie the laces pretty tight. In terms of traction, you do have more of a traditional pattern, and I laugh because the Tatum 1 was pretty untraditional in terms of the fact that it had rubber only in the forefoot. The Tatum 2 had like rubber pods. It wasn't fully covered, I would say. These are much more traditional, which does perform pretty well in my personal opinion. It is, in my opinion, the best in the Tatum line in terms of traction by far. I said this when I first saw the images, like even from the images, I feel like the Tatum 3 combines the look of the Tatum 1 with the durability of the 2s, and it did improve upon the traction as well. I will say that you may need to wipe on dust like most basketball shoes. This is not, immune to dust. I have a clip in here where I did slip on a step back. The 2s were much more durable than the 1s because the 1s were absolutely atrocious. They were horrible in terms of durability, but these feel semi-durable. It's pretty much fully covered as well. Yeah, in terms of traction, this is by far better than the Tatum 2 for sure, in my personal opinion at least. And it's more durable than the Tatum 1. Tatum 3 is a welcome sight because it's just much more traditional overall. I wouldn't say it's like the most elite traction in the world, but it is just a lot better than the previous 2 models. So for the cushion setup, you do have Cushlon and a 4-foot zoom unit. I feel like the 4-foot zoom is nothing too crazy. It does remind me of the Tatum 1 in terms of just court feel and responsiveness. Honestly, I feel like it's not that great of a zoom unit, but you can still feel it after you break it in. It's just nothing amazing. The cushion feels pretty similar to the Luka 3 overall, in my personal opinion. You can still feel, a full-length ride. It's just nothing amazing or crazy, so don't expect the most impact protection out of these. I also found putting my Move insole in here made the heel cushion kind of, really comfortable and kind of crazy. So if you need more cushion, then just put the Move insole in here. So in summary, the cushion is definitely not the greatest, but it honestly is adequate for, especially for court feel type of players or just versatile type of players. Not that plush, but it gets the job done and it has a lot of court feel. Another downside to this shoe, guys, is that it has a lack of heel to toe transition. So overall, it feels pretty flat. So when you're running, I don't really feel propelled into my next step really, which you can find as a downside. Again, it's pretty low to the ground, but it's partly why I use the Move insoles, just to have a little bit more of a plate there that helps me run a little bit more. So in terms of the materials, Jordan Brand is using a textile and kind of canvas type of upper. It does feel pretty supportive. It's not the most supportive shoe like the Dame 9, for example, but it gets the job done. Also, I am leaning towards that there is no shank plate in this shoe. So that's another reason why I felt like the Move insoles helped me a lot, but I'm leaning towards that they didn't put any shank plate in here, but just watch Foot Doctor Zach's kind of cut up to see and confirm. Again, like I mentioned in the fit portion of the video, there is this sidewall that kind of digs up on the lateral side, and if you're a wide footer, you're gonna feel that at first, but after you break it in, it should be fine. One thing I do like about the materials is that they did incorporate threading, which I do think in a general sense, threading is more premium of a material, or in terms of aesthetics, it does look more premium. So I do like the threading on the upper in terms of the design. The bad thing about the materials, in my opinion, is that it just doesn't look the best. I do feel like, you know, the Tatum line prides itself on lightweightness, being really light on feet, which this does accomplish, by the way. I do feel like these do feel pretty light, just like the other Tatums. But in terms of just overall kind of aesthetic, I do feel like if they are trying to fulfill the lightweight category, specifically for the Tatum line for Jordan Brand, I want them to use Flyknit. You know, I feel like Flyknit it's just a lightweight material, obviously, and I feel like, you know, putting Flyknit on a shoe not only enhances the performance in terms of that weight, like we're talking about, but also aesthetically, it looks 10 times better. So if Jordan Brand can incorporate that Flyknit into their shoes, like with the Tatum line, because that is supposed to be their lightest, you know, signature basketball shoe right now, then I think, you know, the shoe would improve so much more. So that's just my wish. I think this is a kind of polarizing design because from what I've seen from my audience and comment section, a lot of people on the older side, or I guess born, you know, in the early 2000s or at least the 90s, they will like this design because it's more reminiscent of an old school look, an old school basketball shoe. In contrast, I do think, you know, people in this modern day generation may not like the silhouette because it's just not, you know, that appealing to the eye, I guess. Like a lot of people, from what I've seen, don't really like the design in general. So it is kind of a polarizing shoe. But from my side, from my opinion, I do think it's the best in the Tatum line. It does kind of remind me of the Crazy 8. It reminds me of the up-tempo even, like just with all the lines and kind of design patterns. The last thing I will talk about the aesthetics is the fact that I do think this shoe looks better, significantly better, in the right colorways. So the Olympics colorways, I think Jordan Brand dropped the ball by not debuting or doing like a preheat pack with the Tatum 3 Olympics. He had a navy one as well as a white base for the Olympics. So those look way better than this colorway right here. There is also a PE alternate version of the Welcome to the Garden colorway released specifically at Concepts in Boston. And that is basically kind of a reverse of this one. Those look much better than this colorway here. And then there's also a, you know, Zen colorway Sidewalk Chalk. And then my favorite is the 0 Days Off. That on each specific colorway, there is a design detail on the back that gives an explanation about what the colorway is. I think overall this shoe looks a lot better in more monochromatic colorways. This is also a mid-top, so, you know, a lot of basketball shoes nowadays, they're kind of looking the same. And there's not a lot of mid-tops on the market. So I do appreciate that this is more of a mid-cut design, although, you know, it still kind of plays like a low. So overall, guys, my opinion on the Tatum 3 so far is positive for sure. This is something that I do like better than the Luka 3. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people might like these better than the Air Jordan 39. The 39 has just maximum cushion. It is much more comfortable than these. But honestly, in terms of aesthetics, it's kind of like a hit or miss. And these just look kind of cool. They're much more of an old school type of design. And then most of all, the 39 is kind of unstable, right? This is something that I mentioned in my review. It really does depend on your play style in terms of whether or not you like, you know, Jordan's flagship Air Jordan 39, right? Because those feel a little bit unstable. Again, like I said in my review, guys, the 39 is a little bit unstable, especially in the forefoot. And, you know, even in the heel, it's kind of like rounded. So depending on your play style, you may not like the 39 despite how great of a cushion setup it has. And I think the most significant thing is the traction improvement, because the previous Tatums, honestly, the pods and the 2s and then the 1s with just the rubber in the forefoot and then the foam in the back, and then it broke on you within like 2 weeks, right? This is a huge improvement for the traction. I also have Achilles tendonitis, so I'm kind of leaning towards like mid-top type of designs now just for that placebo effect. I'm not saying that this is the best shoe in the world, obviously, because it's not. There's a lot of shoes, you know, that you can get over these for a way cheaper price. LeBron 21, GTK 3, prime examples. Way of Wade, they're making great basketball shoes. Pretty much every single model has great traction, right? If you guys notice for the Tatum 1 and Tatum 2, I didn't collect those colorways because I post, short form videos all the time. I showcase the colorways of different shoes, like the Book 1, GT Cut 3. But notice for the Tatum 1 and Tatum 2, I did not do that for a good reason, because I didn't want to spend money on shoes I wasn't fully confident playing in. The 2s are definitely the worst in the line in my opinion, but those were still decent. The 1s I did like a little bit more, but besides, like, the durability was just trash on that shoe. This is a shoe that I might actually get like a lot of colorways in, and I'm actively looking for that Tatum pack from Concepts. Just this colorway though, it doesn't look the best on me at least, so I will be buying the 0 Days Off colorway. I think that looks really good. Another thing about the materials is that it's not too conforming to your foot, so again, I did have to tie the laces pretty tight. I just want to re-emphasize that. Again, I feel like they could use Flyknit, especially if they're trying to market this as the lightest shoe in the Jordan brand lineup, which it is, I guess, like scientifically. But if they could use Flyknit, I feel like it would be more conforming. It would achieve that lightweightness that they're looking for, and it would look aesthetically so much better. Overall, I am pretty surprised to say that my opinions on the Tatum 3 are pretty positive. There are, again, some downsides to the shoe, like, the side panel does dig into my foot just a little bit, so I did have to spend a lot of time breaking it in. Support is pretty average. Lockdown is pretty good, but you just have to tie the laces tight. Aesthetically, they're kind of a hit or miss depending on the colorway, but the silhouette, in my opinion, looks kind of old school, which I do enjoy personally. I will end this video saying that there are a lot of comparative options out there. Again, I'm not saying this is the best shoe, but specifically in terms of Jordan brand, I do like these over the Luka 3s. 39s are kind of a hit or miss because I feel like I do like the 39s a lot. It's one of the shoes that I play in so much, but I can see from a general consumer public perspective that a lot of people may like these over the 39s simply due to more stability in the shoe. It's kind of lower to the ground as well, but aesthetically, again, it may be a hit or miss for you personally. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe, especially if you made it this far, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.